Hey, Fly Girl Fitness coming into you with just a get ready with me general life update. I don't have a lot of time right now because I started a part-time recruiting consultant gig, which is awesome. So I am only working 20 hours a week, but like I sleep until 8:39, and then I like to spend my coffee time, half hour or so, dinking on my phone, catching up on emails and what's happening on Instagram. So then, depending on what my day looks like, I'm like pretty much in the office from like 11, then I walk the dog, blah, blah, blah. Then I'm pretty much in the office from 11 to, 3 or 4, and I'm on the phone. So let me tell you what the gig is. So I am working for a small women-owned and run consulting company based out of Olympia, Washington. They do a lot of consulting around change management, project management, and business analysis. Their primary client are state and local governments within the state of Washington. They are in expansion mode, so while they don't have any open positions right now, they hired me as a 1099 contractor, which just means I get paid I get paid legally, but I get paid cash for the hours that I work. And then I have to figure out my own taxes later. Somebody's car alarm's going off. So, and I'm not having taxes taken out right now because it's literally enough 20 hours a week is enough to like keep the lights on here. So I'm going to have to just deal with that at the end of the year. But if that prevents me from pulling on my savings, then I'll have my savings to pay any back due taxes. So I'm fine with that. So yeah, I'm just helping them pipeline candidates. So I'm like sourcing candidates, screening candidates. So I just talk to people all day long, and then I present them to the partners. There's 3 partners every week. And yeah, I'm having a blast. Like, I haven't directly recruited in at least probably 2.5, 3 years. Since I got into management, and the scope of my role became such that I literally couldn't. I just had to manage on focusing, 6 teams of people or whatever. So I'm having a lot of fun kind of going back to my roots, if you will, and, exploring that. So it's been really fun. I don't know what color makeup I want to do today. I felt like kind of a green vibe, like an ocean blue green vibe today, kind of going with this lighter color, hence my headband. But I don't know. Let's look at this palette. Riviera. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. A little bluey blue. A little bluey blue. I said that twice because I'm dumb. Anyway, so that's been good. My job search itself has been, up until recently, very, very slow. But with that being said, I did have an interview yesterday with a small company owned by a private equity company, which I'm familiar with venture capitalist owned companies, but I'm not familiar with that. So I don't exactly know what that means, but it's similar, I think, in a lot of ways, but they don't expect any changes in the next. It's about 1,000 people, 900 people company, and they're looking for a director of talent acquisition, which I am. So get this. I get on this interview yesterday, and it's the recruiter who's like been leading the team for a year. They haven't had a boss. Sorry for my fat arms, but you know what? Also not sorry, because whatever. I'm in what I see on Instagram today, I'm in my unforgiven era, or my, if you don't like my fat arms, don't look at them, fuck you era. I don't got time to worry about it, honestly. Like, I could try harder to lose weight, and I'm not, so. Anyway, so I asked her, I was like, you must have gotten so many applicants and blah, blah, blah. So she's recruiting for her boss. And so like, obviously it's kind of, she's very vested and invested in finding the right candidate because she's interested in her own professional growth. Super bright girl. She's like 29. She's learned and gotten her foray into management herself. So, she wants to find someone who can help, invest in her. And of course, I think she has some strong opinions about other people on the team that maybe need to be performance managed a little bit stronger than has enough experience and, to do. Like she just doesn't have that experience yet. And so we kind of talked about that, and I introduced her to some phrases she hadn't heard of, like recruitment marketing and project management within talent acquisition. I told her the whole story about how I left. Not the whole story, but most of it. And so anyway, we talked for about 90 minutes. Like, we talked for actually almost 2 hours. But before I was shortlisted for an in-person or for a video interview, it was a 90-minute video interview. I should have gotten the wider pencil here. I do like this I have this little fine tip one, but the one I'm used to using is a little bit more wide, and so it covers a little bit more area. Obviously, Anastasia, this is NYX. I thought for sure it was Anastasia, so we'll see how I like this. I think Anastasia is my go-to brand, but this is obviously like way cheaper. Anyway, so we talk, we have a great conversation, we laugh. She says she's learned so much from talking to me, which I think is amazing. I love that for both of us. And then she said that she interviewed 14 people for this job because it's a high pressure, like high visibility position. And she said she got 660 applicants. So I was one of 14 people out of 660 applicants. What? And then, God damn it, I hate it when I do the wrong side and then I fuck it up. Anyway, sorry, pardon my language. And then I asked her, so before I was shortlisted for an actual video interview, I had to take these assessments. One was like a critical thinking assessment, and you have to answer 50 questions in 15 minutes. And they say at the beginning, like, don't worry, nobody answers all 50. Like, it's super, super uncommon. And that, did you know, like, the NFL, like, players have to take this every year before their season, which I didn't. I mean, that's crazy. So it's assessing critical thinking skills, even though it feels like an ACT or SAT or GRE or what, not a GRE. Yeah, GRE. Oh, post-traumatic stress disorder from GRE testing. I did that shit twice. I should do it now because apparently I'm brilliant at it. So anyway, I'm just kidding, sort of. So she said she couldn't tell me my exact score on my original assessment. So the original assessment, you just do like at home. The test says you can't use a calculator. She doesn't really care if you use a calculator, so I did. Wrong answers don't work against you, which I didn't know that the first time I took it. So I definitely spent longer on some questions than I should have, having known that, because I'm really bad with some of the spatial stuff and some of the like number patterns, like 2, 5, 7, 19, like what comes next. I'm like, I don't fucking know. So, I mean, give me like, so-and-so walks into a room first. So-and-so walks into the room third. Did so-and-so walk in? I can do all that stuff like really well. And all the vocabulary stuff really well. So, she said I scored originally in the 84th percentile, but they do require validation. Assessment validation is what they call it. So, I have to sit on camera with her and take the assessment again, which made me really nervous because I was like, oh my God, was I supposed to use a calculator? I'm pretty sure I could. And she's like, yeah. So I was like, okay, good. Whew. And so I remembered her saying wrong answers don't work against you. So I'm like, So I clicked through the ones that I knew I was going to spend more time on. Not only did I finish all 50 fucking questions, I had time left on the clock. And I scored in the 97th percentile. She scheduled my next interview on the spot. So I was so hyper from that. I was like, what? And I told her that was kind of my trick, right? I was like, well, if wrong answers don't work against me, then the ones I know I'm going to really struggle with and spend a lot of time on, why bother? Because if I get it wrong, it doesn't work against my score, right? So I was all about that. And she was like, oh, smart. I'm like, yeah. So that's awesome. So I have a next round interview with them next Wednesday. Originally, my unemployment benefits were denied by my ex-company, or by the state of Oregon, because my ex-company said I left without good cause. That is very blue, much more blue than I intended, but that's okay. It's pretty. What do you say? I appealed the decision. I had my hearing not last Tuesday, but the Tuesday before. I think. Yeah. And I testified. My old boss's boss, the person I did most of my negotiating with as I left the company, testified. He corroborated most of what I had to say. So, I mean, I was honest. I mean, I was not trying to hide anything. I definitely had to, I didn't know that they were going to be on the call, so I got super nervous because I was going to be sharing some pretty personal mental health issues that I didn't elaborate on with them. For good reason. Like, why would I? My mental health isn't their business other than they drove me to it. I think it helped a little bit too that the lawyer or the legal representative on the company side, God, I keep almost saying the company's name, was a bit of a hothead. And he basically like went out of his way to be like, we don't feel we don't feel that we owe her unemployment benefits and we shouldn't have to pay for them because, she had work here. And I'm like, yeah, the work that you guys drove me to fucking crazy. Like, no. So I was very pleased to find out. And I had, let me back up. I had corroborating documentation from my therapist and chart notes from my doctor, basically saying this was work stress, that since leaving the job, my, like, everything has, like, really calmed down. I've come back to myself and, like, all that stuff, which is all true. And so I had submitted it to the state of Oregon appeals office. There was nowhere in any instructions that I had to send it to the employer because that's, like, if there were, I would have fucking done it, obviously, right? I really don't want to make this a 20-minute video, so I'm going to try to keep it fast. But, like, I would have done it if I had known. So the judge allowed me to keep the case. She kept it open for 2 additional days to allow me to send the documentation over to the employer. And I was so grateful. And I did. And they were really confused because it was a different person. It was like a private email. It wasn't even like, here I am sending private, public, like, medical records. And it's like, you don't even have a secure email, whatever. So anyway, so she kept the case open, and then she made it, like, I got it, so she kept it open until that Thursday at 10 a.m. She must have made the decision that day because I got a letter in the mail I opened it on Sunday. I got it on Saturday, but I didn't open it on Saturday because I didn't check the mail that day, and that the judge found in my favor that any normal person of any normal constitution would have quit a job under the circumstances. So I was found that I did leave my employer for good cause, and I got 7 or 8 weeks of back pay, employment benefits. And that's only like, $650 a pop, but like, certainly nothing to, not even to cover my mortgage in a month, but it's something. It's fucking something. So I need to go deposit those checks because I haven't yet. And, between that and my little gig, like that's awesome. So those 2 things are going on. The interview, my appeal was successful. I felt so fucking validated. Like, I cried. And, what else? There was one other thing I was going to say. Oh, so, my having worked at this company, I've made a lot of, sorry, I should look more at you. A lot of long-term, relationships and connections. And one of my, not the boss that I had when I left because she's a fucking bitch. But the boss I had before that, she was like a colleague, and then she was my boss, and then she was my peer. And so we've worked together in a couple different capacities over the course of like a year and a half. Like, we haven't known each other that long, but like, I think she's brilliant. I adore her. And we talk all the time. Like, I talk to her probably once a week, probably once every other week on the phone, but we text like once a week. And then, so she lives in Virginia, outside of DC. And then another girlfriend I've worked with for 16 years, almost 16 years. We've been on the same team. We've been on periphery teams, but we've always been in, to kind of hung out. And then we worked really close together for like 6 or 7 years. And she was like my work wife. Like, she was my go-to person, like, because I became her boss, and she was like the person I knew I forgot to set. I hate it when I forget to set and then I have to do it with mascara on. It's so annoying. I'm just not normally talking to my phone when I'm putting on my makeup. So, she lives in Maryland, and she's like 2 hours away from this other woman who has like this big, beautiful home and a pool I mean, my ex-work wife does too, but, so I booked tickets to go to Virginia, and I'm going to meet her. I'm going to meet my ex-work wife. I'm going to meet another fellow gentleman I worked with for a few months. I'm going to work with this woman that I met through the first woman, and she's been helping me with my job search stuff. And I hate this. I'm like, please don't. So yeah, and then my ex-work wife's gonna come out. We have another someone that worked for me for a while and then moved on, that lives in Dallas, and we're gonna try to convince her to come out. So other than there being one guy there, it's gonna be like girls' weekend. So I'm going for a 4-day weekend, and I use points, so it cost me like $12. So I'm so excited. I do have a layover. It was a $400 flight for a nonstop red eye there, and I was like, I'm not working right now. Like, I think unemployed is probably free is probably the better choice for me right now. So that's my general update. I booked a little girls trip. I'm so excited. They're all people I know professionally, but have gotten to know personally throughout the years. And I'm just excited to meet them and spend days at the pool and, I don't know, drink wine. I don't know, whatever. And that's kind of my general life update. I'm enjoying my summer. I fully intend, it's not that hot here today, but I fully intend that when it gets hotter to find as much water as I can for the rest of the summer, whether that's the river or the lake or doing whatever. My birthday's coming up next month, so I'm renting a pool for my birthday, somebody else's pool for 3 hours. There's an app for that. So anyway, almost 20 minutes. I'm sorry, but I hope you guys keep it fly out there. Thanks for getting ready with me, and I hope you're having a great summer. Bye.